Alright guys, what's up? Welcome back to Compound Interesting. Today's video, we're just going to do an update on my portfolio. The last time I did a portfolio reveal or whatever was about a quarter ago, so I think I might update you guys on my portfolio every quarter. I'm not sure if this would be for any interest for anyone, but if it is, let me know and I'll keep doing it. But I just want to be completely transparent and tell you what I'm doing and where I've gone wrong and what I've done well in the last couple of years and in the last quarter. And the reason I want to bring you this video as well is because I've gone on a total shopping spree since the coronavirus crash and in the last few months. So my portfolio sizes in the stocks has almost doubled. Just put in so much more money and have done kind of well in the last couple of months. So I thought I'd give you an update on where I'm at. Now you can probably see some of the stocks I have here, and you might notice that I have 38 stocks. So yeah, this is way too many stocks for most people. However, I'm researching a lot of stocks because I want to bring you guys videos, and when I research a stock, a lot of the time I get quite interested in it, and when digging through a company I always get excited and I want to make a little small purchase into it. And the way I like to invest is to make a small initial position into a stock to keep a closer eye on it, so I'm more invested in it literally, so I'll be more likely to keep track of it, because if it's just on your watch list you probably won't really be keeping much of an eye on it. You can only check. Well, that's the way I do it. So a lot of what I have is just like literally like €100, €150 in a stock, or just to track it more closely as I like it, and maybe the price is too high right now, but I want to track it and buy it potentially if the price drops or if a piece of good news comes out. And I also, like most people say, a lot of people say anyway, you shouldn't own that many stocks, and maybe even 5 stocks is enough to make massive wealth. And that's absolutely true. That's kind of the Warren Buffett style. However, Warren Buffett doesn't really practice what he preaches. If you look in Berkshire Hathaway's company, they own hundreds of companies and are invested in dozens of companies as well. So I'm kind of more of a Peter Lynch style investor. I've read both of Peter Lynch's books and they're amazing and I recommend them all the time. They're linked in the description if you want to check them out. Peter Lynch, Beating the Street, and Peter Lynch, One Up on Wall Street. They're my favorite investing books. But his principle is, if you turn over 10 rocks, you might find one gem. If you turn over 100 rocks, you'll find 10 gems. So if you research in more companies, you're bound to find more better investments. So out of 10 companies you research, maybe one is a good investment. But if you therefore research 100, like I probably have researched 100 in the last 6 months, then you might find 10 gems. So with all that said, let's run through these stocks really quickly and tell you where I went wrong, where I went right, and I'll explain what the different categories are, and then I'll show you the pie chart over here. It's disappeared. And I'll give you my total gain for the last 2 years. Okay, starting off, Activision, 2.7 shares. This is break-even price. So I bought them at $55 per share. So multiply by 3, gives us a value of purchase 150. The current price is 81, so it's a 50% gain. And that's the dollar gain. So I made $72. So the current value is $222. So that's what the layout is for everything. I also hold some cryptocurrencies. That's the cryptocurrencies I own. But I just want to focus on the stocks today. So Aurora Cannabis made a speculative investment into this. Only put in $70. And whenever you make I've always found whenever you make a speculative investment with little to no research, it's done really, really poorly for me. So as you can see, down 70%. And it was actually down more than this at the beginning. So just learn from my mistakes. Even though whenever I'm making a speculative investment with very little research, I actually just don't ever do that. But sometimes I've done it in the past. Like I'm still kind of a newbie myself. I'm an investor. So I had made these mistakes in the past. And I've paid for them in the fact that I've lost, oh my God, €50. So it's not the end of the world, obviously, but speculative investments, if you're going to put in a lot of money, make sure you really, really research them. Apple done really well. So I just want to say for all of these stocks, some of them, so like Apple I bought a couple of years ago. So that's why the percentage is pretty good. I bought it when the iPhone sales were doing really badly. So the stock price dropped a lot. So I've done well on Apple. But yeah, the bigger companies, the kind of more well-known, Apple and Amazon, I kind of bought when I started investing. But some of the smaller ones are kind of newer investments. So I'll kind of let you know when I bought it so you can see what my percentage gain has been in the amount of time. So Apple and Amazon, I bought them about 2 years ago. Done pretty well in them, like 2 years, up 100% each, over 100%. Alibaba also bought a good while ago, done well in that. Berkshire is not doing well for me. I have a pretty big position in Berkshire. Boeing up 62%, bought that during the coronavirus crash. I'm just going to run through these all, and then I'll show you the breakdown and my total gain for the year. And you can see my ratings on these on the right, what I would do in regards to these. Carnival Cruise obviously did really badly in that, and some of these stocks are just famous YouTube stocks, so this is from the financial education and not really researching enough. Well, Carnival Cruise I thought was actually a good, the thesis behind Carnival Cruise made a lot of sense. However, the coronavirus did really badly on it. But for example, NAT stock, which is way down here, done really, it's kind of come back a bit, but it did pretty badly on that to begin with. But it's another speculative stock that I didn't really research, so that's another example of where you don't want to be putting. And this was Wells Fargo. I bought it when I was a newbie investor, so when you're a newbie investor, just be careful, like you're going to make so many mistakes. So a lot of these mistakes are kind of easily avoidable mistakes. Pretty much all my biggest losses are from things I didn't research. Berkshire is the only thing that's down that I'd say I'm surprised about. I think that's Berkshire is always a great company, so for it to be down is surprising. All right, let's move on. Boeing, coronavirus crash. Carnival Cruise, just before the coronavirus crash. Cirrus Logic, just bought it a couple of years ago with no research, but it did well, so thank God for that. Disney I'm very bullish on, but it hasn't done that well for me, but it's only been in my portfolio about 6 months. EA Sports, didn't really put that much research into it, to be honest, but it's done well for me. Facebook, one of my biggest positions, up 50%, and I added to this during the coronavirus crash. Foot Locker, I bought during the coronavirus crash, up 30%, which is nice. Google, I bought it kind of when I started investing, and I added to it recently because I'm really bullish on YouTube. JP Morgan, pretty much nothing's happened there. 3M, pretty much nothing's happened there, bought that a while ago. Noble, this is a dividend aristocrat index fund, so a collection of dividend aristocrats, and that's done okay and returned me some dividends, so happy enough with that. Nvidia done smashingly, 200% almost. Revolve up 22%. That's kind of a newer investment. Nvidia is kind of an older investment. Square is a newer investment and it's done really well for me. I bought that, started buying that during the coronavirus crash, and it just kept going up and up and up, and I averaged my way up. So I started buying it at $45 and now it's $130. But I bought all the way up to about $100, to be honest, because I really believe in this one. So that's become a really big position in my portfolio. Shopify is my biggest percentage gain. Absolutely insane. I bought Shopify actually. Did I buy? My research into Shopify was starting a Shopify store and starting a business using Shopify and loving Shopify so much that I was like, oh, okay, this product is so amazing that I'm going to buy this stock. So I just bought, I think, 2 shares of Shopify, and it was $150 at the time. And now it's run up to $1,000 a share. It's more than this now. It's like, well, I think it's about this actually. But it went from $150 to $1,000 a share. And because this is one of the problems, because I hadn't really researched it, I started selling off portions of my shares. So now I only have like 1.1 shares left. But I'm just going to hang on to my 1 share for Shopify. But yeah, just a huge percentage gain. So that was nice. But yeah, just such a crazy high price multiple for Shopify. It's just so hard. It'd be so hard to buy into right now, but it just won't stop going up. So it's absolutely insane. Spotify, another new investment of mine, which I also started buying during the coronavirus crash. And just like Square, it started going up so fast, so quickly, so I couldn't really build a position that I wanted to. But I still managed to make it a big enough position, and it's done well for me in that time. But like my initial, the current price is 276. I think I initially started getting in like 140, but I averaged my way up again to probably like 240. and maybe I'll buy if it drops back down to the 200s or to the low 200s. Same with Square, I'll buy if it goes down to like $100 or $110. Is when I'll start buying again. Tesla, this is my biggest actual gain. So up 378%, and this is one I really researched and company I'm obviously really believe in and put. This was always my biggest stock, and now it's my biggest stock times 2 because it's done so well. And my gain is like insane. That's the power of compound interest. I started off with like 3 or 4 shares, and I started off with 3 or 4 shares. Then I ran up to, well, I bought everywhere from, I started in at 350, then I went all the way down to 180. So I got an average price around the 220 mark. Then I bought another share at 800, and then I bought fractional shares, a couple of fractional amounts of shares after 1000, and I've kept doing that. So no, I'm not ever going to sell it, to be honest. Probably never going to sell it. Maybe 10-20 years I'll sell it. But yeah, that's my biggest my biggest dollar value gain. So I think this will look better on the thing. And these are all my newer investments at the end. So Uber has done pretty much nothing for me. VBK, that's growth India ETF, growth index fund. So yeah, that's done pretty well. That's about a year or 2 old. S&P 500, so that averaged 19% since I bought in, and my total return is 99%. So this is my total percentage gain. Yeah, so this is my total investment amount, and this is my total gain in dollars. So I've almost doubled my money to this current value. So it's like 99% gain over the course of 2 years. But we also take into account that I didn't buy all these stocks 2 years ago. I actually bought most of them less than 1 year ago. So my actual percentage gain is higher than 99% divided by 2. So I'm not sure what 99% over 2 years is annually, but probably about 40% annually. But as we can see, I've absolutely smashed the S&P 500 anyway, regardless, and that's mostly thanks to Tesla. And this is my percentage gain and dollar gain with no Tesla, just to show you the difference. So you just need one really good stock to really affect your portfolio and help. So that's why I like to take big swings, a lot of big swings on high growth, big opportunity stocks. That's the way I like to invest, because once one of them takes off, it'll pay for any other losses that you make. All right, let's just quickly run through the last VPU. That's an index fund for utilities. So it's done pretty much nothing. So yeah, I bought a lot of index fund after reading Unshakable by Tony Robbins, because he just recommends everyone to buy index funds, but that's no fun, and I've beaten index funds. So maybe the majority of people should buy index funds, but for me, individual stock picking is way too fun. All right, Wells Fargo, as I said, I think I already said that. CRISPR, I literally just bought that yesterday, so yeah, if you want to see the CRISPR video, really interesting stock, so I'll link that whichever way it is, up there. But yeah, I'd highly recommend that. That was such a fun video to make, so I'm really bullish on that, so I'm going to be making that a pretty large position in my portfolio. NAT, already mentioned. QCOM, a recent addition about 2 weeks ago. Probably not going to make it a big position. Texas Roadhouse, recent enough. I bought that during the coronavirus crash. Probably not going to make it a big position. Here's a spec play. Tortoise acquisition, one of the hype stocks on YouTube. But I think this one's interesting, so I put a little bit of money into it and made a little bit of quick gain. Nothing amazing. But yeah, I'm looking to hold this maybe a year or 2. But maybe I'll hold it longer as I see how everything shakes out with the company. But yeah, just trying to make a quick double or triple in my money if possible. And if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. Twitter, I actually want to make this a bigger position. It's a pretty small position, but I really like Twitter stock. I'm starting to use Twitter a lot more, and I think it has huge potential. Well, not huge potential, but I think it's definitely undervalued in comparisons to Facebook. It has it has like, I forget the actual numbers, but I did an analysis on Twitter. I'll link it as well. But like the market cap is like 1/20th, but the user amount is 1/10th. So there's 10 times the users on Facebook, but it has 20 times the market cap. So that's a bit of a disconnect. And to add to that, Twitter has much higher growth than Facebook in active users. So it doesn't really, Facebook's my second biggest position. So now I'm starting to think, actually, maybe it doesn't really make sense to have Facebook. But at the same time, Facebook has Instagram and WhatsApp and maybe some other like things like Oculus that has other things going for it like that. But I think Twitter just hasn't really worked out how to turn on the profit machine. It hasn't really worked out how to make advertising revenue like Facebook has. But I think they're getting there, and I think it's only a matter of time before they've really worked it out and start making good money from their ad revenue, in my opinion. So I'm probably gonna add to this. Hopefully it drops a bit, and I want to make this probably a medium position in my portfolio, as now it's pretty small. Visa I like, pretty safe company, up about 10%, kind of a newer position as well. The growth in this company has been exceptional for the last 20 years. So I'm not sure if it could keep it going, but I think this is safe money. I think this would be a good stock if I was an older person or older than a 24-year-old, but it's not a super exciting stock. I don't think you're gonna. I think this is kind of, yeah, if you're in your 30s, 40s, 50s kind of stock, that you're not gonna lose a lot of money in it because they're doing so many buybacks and they're just making ridiculous amounts of money, and it's a pretty hard business model to disrupt, and they're still growing really fast. Well, pretty fast in comparisons to the entire stock market, but not in comparisons to my portfolio. All right, Vedanta, that was just done well in that, but yeah, I don't really know much. It's a mining company in India. I got that stock from Sven Carlin, one of my favorite YouTube channels, if you want to check him out. So shout out to him for that stock. I just watched one of his videos and I was like, oh, maybe I'll research further into that. And I never got around to it, but yeah, I have that in my portfolio. So I just bought an initial position just to track it or whatever, as I said, I like to do. And then Virgin Galactic, this is a cool one. This is one I'm kind of somewhat on the fence about. Yeah, a total spec stock, but not my favorite spec stock. But definitely not the worst though. Yeah, kind of on the fence. I probably will add a few more shares, especially if it drops again. I think right now it's about, that's not 25 actually. I think it's dropped back down to like 18. Yeah, my BEP is 17. So yeah, that's everything. 98% gain. Value purchase, yeah, we've gone through that. And here's the pie chart so you can kind of visualize it better, my portfolio, once it loads up. I have a few notes here as well. So as you can see, Tesla makes up 40% of my entire portfolio. So it used to be, started off at 10%, then it grew, and then I bought another share, and now it's like 40%. Facebook, my second biggest position. Spotify and Square, two newer positions that I'm happy they're in my top 5 for sure. Amazon, I bought a decent amount of Amazon and it's done really well because of the coronavirus. Shopify, you saw that percentage gain was absolutely ridiculous. Berkshire and the S&P 500 is VOO, and then the rest here. So you can see, like, I have so many stocks, but a lot of them are 1% or less of my portfolio, and they're kind of tune in later stocks. And you can see I'm kind of trying to build my portfolio around Tesla and have these other tech kind of high growth companies in second place, because that's where I think the most growth is. And I'm not a risk averse investor. That's the way I like to invest. I'm young, so I can afford to take plenty of risk. So maybe I've given you a couple of stock ideas, a couple of stocks you might want to research. And as you can see, I've done really well in the stock market, being a pretty newbie investor, relatively new investor. Only been investing about 4 years, and I started investing in crypto. If you've read the right books, if you have the right sound investing principles, you can do really, really well. So I've doubled my money in 2 years, which is insane gains. So not trying to brag, but yeah, that's nice. Maybe I'll crash tomorrow. But it's about having sound investing principles, being able to deal with the ups and downs, and thank God for the crypto, for starting out in crypto, because that really gave me the patience, or not the patience, it gave me the sack, if you know what I mean. It gave me the balls to be able to deal with the ups and downs and never panic sell and buy when things are low. And yeah, just learning good investing principles. I'm going to be creating a book list soon, so all my favorite books, but there's a few books linked in the description. But I was asked to do an extended book list, so I'm going to bring that out. I'll probably add it to the description today or tomorrow. But an extended book list of all my favorite books, and that's where I've kind of got most of my investing principles and managed to do quite well. And that's where I attribute my success. And I attribute half of my success to the sound investing principles and the other half to pure Irish luck. The only thing you need to do when you're investing is you need to be right more than you're wrong. And just remember, stocks generally trend up. So if you have the right investing principles, you're more than likely to end up with more money than you start with if you're a long-term investor and don't get panicked out in the market when it drops. And you're buying sound companies and you're really learning and researching your companies properly. So I really hope you enjoyed this quick update on my portfolio. Let me know what you think of it. If you think I'm crazy for having so many stocks and so many high risk, high growth stocks, and I'm just being totally transparent about not really researching companies fully when investing, because I want you to learn from my mistakes anyway, and I'll show you where I went wrong, where I went right, and why I went right, because some of these were just pure luck. As you can see, Shopify, yeah, I knew that was a great product, but when I bought it, I didn't realize its price to earnings ratio was like 1,000, or its price to sales ratio was crazy sky high as well. And if I hadn't done that, maybe I wouldn't have bought it. So that was kind of lucky, I guess. But yeah, Shopify is definitely going to be a huge company regardless in the future, because it's just such useful. But maybe it's a little bit overvalued now, or extremely overvalued. Alright, so the title of my next video that I'm going to be bringing out is Value Investing is Dead. And I'm going to be giving the case to why technology and biotechnology investing and high growth investing has been absolutely smashing value investing for the last decade or two, and my argument for why that is, and why potentially that's better investment at the moment. So if you want to catch that video, make sure you're subscribed if you're not already, and if you're a subscriber or you're not a subscriber, hit the notification bell so you actually get notified when I bring out a video, because on a small channel it won't appear in your recommended feed unless you've done that. And I'd really appreciate if you could drop me a like, and that's pretty much it. I really hope you enjoyed the video. Just a quick one, not one of my really deep dive research into stocks, not one of my really deep dive research into stock videos, but just a quick one to keep you updated and let you guys know. So let me know if you want me to keep doing this every quarter, or if it's completely useless and boring, because I don't want to be bringing out boring videos for you. So thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.